Drake says,
Drizzy.
Drizzy said, I never threw away my Grammy speech because I haven't reached the pinnacles I plan to reach.
One of the things I wanted to do is make sure that we have a platform to be able to discuss the hard stuff.
Chunking it up, 10 push-ups at a time, taking one step. To me, it is the same embodiment of success. It is what momentum is.
I want to go ahead and welcome you all to our very first BSN Monday Momentum. If we haven't met yet, my name is Brian Oles, president and founder here at Black Speakers Network. And one of the things I wanted to do is make sure that we have a platform to be able to discuss the hard stuff. And one of the things that keeps us from capitalizing on momentum is the fact that we simply just sometimes could take our eye off the ball. And sometimes, and I know I'm guilty of this, it's just kind of forgetting what we have access to. The person I'm going to introduce today, if you read his resume, he has impressive accolades. I'm sure you've already probably Googled him, or as you heard about this session, may have already seen him on other spaces and stages. But in addition to being a former correspondent at the White House, in addition to speaking and serving and having the actual Federal Reserve of the United States as his client, in addition to the Department of Education and the Office of Naval Intelligence, this man is one of the leading voices in the world on emotional intelligence. And I say all those, I kind of throw all those different organizations out there just to let you know that I've personally have witnessed Rodney navigate through these different spaces. And I have seen this man go around obstacles. I've seen him go underneath obstacles. I've seen him, in some cases, straight up punch through obstacles. But what I haven't seen him do is slow his momentum. What I haven't seen him do is make a bunch of excuses. What I haven't seen him do is, sit for months trying to figure out what's wrong with him, but rather figure out how to make the resources, the tools, the connections, and all the things available in his ecosystem, his reservoir of skills work. And so because of that, Rodney, man, I wanted you to be the first to kick off Monday Momentum with this series, which I think is going to be a series that lasts a very long time. And as a person that I know who is always on the cutting edge of trying to figure out a little nugget, a gem, an insight, not always from practical sources, but I know you're a student of your own life and you're a student of the businesses that you run. And so I wanted to have you kind of kick off, share a little bit about your story, man. And then I want to kind of come back for a live interview and go deeper, because I know you're going to spark off some questions. I'm sure myself and probably many people watching, whether live or on replay, will have. So, Roddy, thank you so much for joining us, man. Well, always great to share a stage with you, and I'm excited to learn from you, brother.
Monday motivation, man. It feels good to be here. I love the theme about momentum, and I'm gonna jump right in, Brian, if that's cool. Going to start by sharing screen. And let me know if that pops up.
It is popping up. It is up.
Yeah. So I'm a little embarrassed to show you guys this. That is, if you can tell, that's a screenshot of my cell phone, right? And I took that screenshot for a couple different reasons. Number one, the numbers 1111 to me signify alignment. It means moving in the right direction. And when I look down at that picture, that's a photo of me the very first time I ever was at the White House. That's the Eisenhower building. And I was about to take the first step take that one step that was about to be the beginning of a completely different life for me. And believe it or not, Oliver, who you well know, took that photo. And so that photo has been with me for quite some time. And for me, it embodies taking the journey, right? Taking the next step, going that extra. And so when I think about momentum, it reminds me of a time I was practicing, Brian, for something called the Tough Mudder. The Tough Mudder, for everybody who may or may not know, is a multi-mile race. It can be 10, 6, 12, 15 miles, depending on the course, the location. This time it was on the eastern shore of Maryland. No. This particular time was Richmond, down in outside of Richmond, Virginia. At that point, Brian, I had never run 10 miles straight. The thought of it scared me, right? And so there we go. So that's me after the race. But what about before the race? So before the race, I was going with a group of guys, and we are very competitive with each other. We've been competitive since high school against each other. And I started practicing about 11 weeks out, and I would run 10 miles every Thursday. And for me, Brian, the goal was to just not stop, right? To continue my momentum. And I didn't know how long it would take me or what it would feel like. I was just like, I'm going to embark. I'm going to take one step, and I'm not going to stop until the odometer shows that I hit 10 miles. That turned out to be about 2 hours worth of jogging for me. Can you imagine? Can you imagine 4 p.m. to 6 p.m.? Can you imagine?
I know I personally can't. That's all I'm gonna say.
Brother, 10 a.m. to noon, one foot in front of the other. And I started having very real conversations with myself. By the time you start tasting bile and lymph in the back of your throat, by the time you start, getting dry and scratchy and itchy, and you feel fatigued, and we got a lake here in the city, man, Lake Montebello, and sometimes I would run that over and over again. And so you find yourself on the far side of the lake, no way to make a shortcut, no bridge, no boat. It's gated off. You can't cut across the lake at all. And the only thing you can do is get to the other side. And I found myself with this idea of taking one step, right? Just not the momentum to finish the race, not the foresight or the wherewithal to do the whole thing, but to take one step. The Empire State Building has 1,576 steps. And looking out across New York City is amazing. I've got to do it a couple of times, being on top of that thing. There's no way to get to the top of the Empire State Building without doing the equivalent of 1,576 steps. Like, you got to do it. There's this old quote that says, the view at the top is reserved for those willing to make the climb. But as I think about momentum, as I think about what was it for me, so I'm just going to jump right in. I wanted to take the idea of taking one step into my life, because I found myself having very real conversations over and over and over and over again. And what I realized is that I had the determination to do it. So Brian, I thought about it like a currency. And if I could focus myself to take one step in this area of my life, this category, maybe I can just do one part. I had been working on a book. For like 6 years, and I couldn't finish it. I was 80% done. I couldn't finish it. My mom said that I hadn't lived enough life, because it's a self-help book, right? It's an emotional intelligence book looking at ourselves through the lens of a bicycle, right? I know that sounds crazy, but that's the premise of the book, right? If you can understand how a bike works, you can understand how life works. That's the premise of the book, right? And so she said I hadn't lived enough. Coming out of the other side of that race, I was able to finish the book. I finished the book. I would set myself up on a timer, and I would, every day an alarm went off, and it said 15 minutes on the book. And what I learned, Brian, was that either one of two things. I'm either going to get 15 minutes further ahead, or I'm going to just be completely stalled, like, what they call it, a writer's block, right? Just not be able to do nothing. Or it's going to get so good that I'm going to keep hitting snooze. And my 15 minutes are going to turn to 30, 45. And at some point I have to force myself to stop. But I was taking a step. I didn't embark to finish the race and then finish the book. I embarked on the idea of, how do I continue this momentum that I got from running a Tough Mudder? How do I continue to take one step, right? So me finishing that book opened my life up. first and foremost, it allowed me to meet the Brian James Olds. It allowed me to meet the president, founder, CEO of the Black Speakers Network. As you guys can tell, we are still masked up. This is right after COVID, and I had been hearing all the time, "Hey man, you're a speaker, you're out here, you're on the circuit. Do you know Brian J. Olds?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I've heard the name. I think I'm connected to him. I'm not really sure." One day somebody was like, "I'm going to put you two in touch." Lo and behold, we worked in the same building. We both were leasing office space in the same building. We met up shortly thereafter, and it kicked off a very wonderful, dynamic, professional, and personal friendship. Right? I'm gonna claim you out in public, Brian. Listen, man, I'm claiming you, man. As my personal bud, man. But it writing the book. I just want you guys to be able to follow the momentum of it. Deciding to run that race for me put me in a position of I'm either going to be embarrassed out here against these guys or I'm going to have a decent showing. Let me start trying one step, right? Continuing that momentum. Coming out of that one step, I was able to complete the race. My internal prayer was, how do I do this in other areas of my life? Do what you did. Take one step, put it on a timer, make it regular. 15 minutes on the book, completed the book. Well, once I got the book completed and it started getting kind of out there and I started meeting some folks and it increased me on the speaking circuit a little bit. And then I met up with Brian J. Olds, and meeting Brian J. Olds in the Black Speakers Network changed my life. And I don't know how else to say that, but it changed my life. So in the beginning of this, Brian rattled off a whole bunch of accolades, and I appreciate the nods and acknowledgement. What he didn't tell you is that many of those accomplishments came as a result of me being a part of BSN. Now, he didn't ask me to come here to do any kind of like pitches or promotion of BSN. I'm telling my personal story. He also didn't ask me to put a picture of me with mud on my face. This is my personal story. This is my journey, right? And so for me, diving into all of the potentiality that a network like BSN has, I started digging and grabbing and looking. I started reaching around and trying to see, and how could I do and what could I be a part of? Well, something that BSN offered was a leadership retreat in Jamaica. At this time, I'm gonna be very transparent with you guys. I was pinching pennies. I was pinching pennies and scrounging them together. I didn't have no money to go slough off at a Jamaican Montego Bay leadership retreat with some fancy folks. But something in me felt like you need to do this. I didn't know how. I took one step. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the same thing, just a little bit. Set it aside, a little bit set aside. I don't know. I might have been saving up, prepping for that trip for like a year and a half. I don't even know if he had announced it a year and a half prior. It just felt like forever of me ducking money, a little bit, put it aside. I went on this trip with the intention of presenting to the people there and wowing them. We get there and logistics, whatever, I wasn't able to get up in front of the group. I felt defeated. I was like, this is a waste of money. And I was like, let me change my attitude, because I'm a firm believer that the world reflects to us the energy that we operate in, right? And so if you walk through the mall, through the market, through the grocery store, and you're angry, you're mean, people are going to pull away. And if you meet the right one, they're going to match that angry. And what's up with you? And now you got a whole situation. You walk through sad, depressed, crying, people are going to respond to you as if you're the sad, depressed person. I didn't want the world, creation, responding to me as this was a waste of my money. But I didn't know how else to think about it. Transparency. But I was like, let me stay in a good space. Lo and behold, before I left, I met a woman there who said, Rodney, I heard you talking about your work at dinner with the group the other night. The type of training and workshops and speaking that you do, could you do that in the federal government? I was like, yes. I ain't never done the federal government before, but I believed I could. She was like, let's stay in touch. That turned into a series of relationships in the federal space that changed my life. So much so, this is a video of me saying how much I appreciate Black Speakers Network. Once again, I want you guys to know this is Rodney telling Rodney's story. I tell the same story because it's my truth. It's a lot of life and vitality in it for me, and I only can give what I have. For me, this has been my journey. Some people go to school to learn how to write RFPs and proposals. My momentum was carried along through the step by step of relationship building, of connecting and leaning into them. Maybe not seeing immediately what this thing could do, but thinking if I take a step in that direction, maybe then what? That's my journey. That's my truth. Right. So education, federal Department of Education. I'm gonna read this to you guys. It says the Purple Player Award presented to Rodney C. Burris, one of the nation's top trainers in emotional intelligence, in recognition for performing above and beyond as a masterful facilitator and trainer for various audiences for the Department of Education. Now, I didn't know I was going to get this award. I had never heard of the Purple Player Award. I don't actually know what the Purple Player is. I don't know if it's like a token or a cup, or I need to dress up as Barney. I don't know. But I received this in written form. I literally just copied and pasted this for our slide here. I received this in written form. And also that title, one of the nation's top trainers in emotional intelligence, that's also not a title I put on myself. That was also something because that was given to me, bestowed upon me, because I was moving in federal spaces. I was moving in some of the top places in the nation. What top places? Well, for example, that's the Federal Reserve Board. That is the place that sets the interest rate for not just America, but the free world, right? These are the people that decide whether or not we have higher or lower. We're printing more money. What are we doing? How are we doing? What are we doing? What's our relationship with BRICS? Do you guys know BRICS? Some of y'all might have the wrong connotation of the word BRICS. I would just want to correct some things. So BRICS is an acronym. FYI, pay attention to this right here. It stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. BRICS, BRICS. Those nations said, you know what? We're tired of the euro. We're tired of the dollar. We're tired of embargoes. We're tired of trade limits. We are going to trade amongst ourselves. Now, think about the size and population and the resources of those countries. Brazil in the Amazon rainforest. South Africa, probably the wealthiest, if not one of the wealthiest countries on the continent, one of the most developed and advanced countries on the continent of Africa. Russia, everybody knows our story and history with them. India, sitting on 1 billion people. China, sitting on 1 billion people. Those countries decided to say, we will trade and use our own currency. It exists right now. It's called BRICS. The people who help define our relationship with that currency and the euro, etc., work at the Federal Reserve Board. That gentleman on the screen that you see is about to engage an audience of those leaders there. As a matter of fact, that wasn't even my first time there. That's not my only time there. That was my first time there, actually, but that's not my only time. This past fall, before several of those leaders embarked to help coordinate our involvement in the G20 summit, I was doing an emotional intelligence leadership training with them. It's an amazingly humbling experience. I got there through a very different journey that I'm going to get to in a little bit. And it has to do with an award. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. This is me at the Office of Naval Intelligence. I actually have tomorrow morning a full day session with them, training some of their leaders, both tomorrow and then Wednesday as well. I'm about to do an exercise with these guys that actually, if you look at the hands, see one of the guys has his hands up. I'm going to have them touch only the tips of their fingertips, all 10, right? They're going to have 10 points of contact. One of them is going to have his eyes closed. The other one is going to have his eyes open. The one with the eyes open is going to be the leader of the pair. And he has to guide the other one around with his eyes closed, no verbal. But here's the deal. The leader, the one that has sight and can see in this exercise, can only walk backwards. No talking, no gripping, of the fingers, no hand holding, no other direction outside of the tips of the fingers. And I told them to walk around and do a circuit and come back on top of the podium, go up a step, navigate. You know, people start laughing and sniggling. But what does it teach us as leaders? If I move too fast because I can see, because I have the benefit of momentum as the leader, I could lose my people. We don't even speak the same way. We don't even have the same type of lingo. We should be able to do this. And we could end up losing our people just like that. It's a very real, tangible, visceral experience of effective leadership, right? And so I'm going to be taking some of the leaders at the Naval Intelligence through similar exercises like that over the next 2 days. I got there because I agreed to help out at a conference from a woman named Dr. Pam Perry, who I met after I met Brian J. Olds. She needed my help. I was busy. I said, yes. She kind of fussed at me. Dr. Pam is like an auntie mama. You know, she fuss a little bit. She'll fuss at you a little bit. So I agreed to go help her out. In me helping her out, one of the leaders here of the Naval Intelligence was in the audience. He saw me engaging and was like, I like what you do around leadership. I want you to come do it for my team. I'm like, who's your team? These people. Did I not mention I'm doing something with them tomorrow and Wednesday? Do you not know that for all intents and purposes, our nation may be to some degree in a state of, I want to be mindful of the algorithm, Brian, non-peacetime. It may be non-peacetime right now. And in this time, they still are securing my mama's son to come and engage leaders. That's an awesomely humbling experience that came as the result of taking one step, agreeing to help out a friend, and following that momentum to that stage through tomorrow, right? This is me at the White House again, right? And so this is me in the official press room. You know who stood behind that podium? Barack Obama, Condoleezza Rice, Colin Powell, you name it. George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. That is the press room of the White House. And I got there. There was a gentleman who called me one day and said, Rodney, would you like to be a respondent for us on behalf of Be More News? Yes. He actually told me he didn't know how I could say no because it would be good for my own career, me doing it. So I ended up taking that opportunity. What I'm trying to show you is if at the leadership conference or when I was running around that lake, no part of me said, I'm running around this lake so that I could become a White House correspondent. That's not how momentum works, right? Momentum is giving ourselves permission to put that one foot in front of the other. Just one. One of my favorite quotes goes like this: opportunities of a lifetime must be seized within the lifetime of that opportunity, right? And so there's this small window, this small space of grace to take one step, not to complete the whole thing. And sometimes I think, and I'm gonna speak for myself, viewing like, how do I go from here to there? How do I make the jump, the leap? Sometimes it's not about leaping. Sometimes it's about the new visual of that one step. Because when I was running around that lake, 10 miles, 2 hours of nonstop painful jogging, and at the end of that, my body felt beat up every week. I felt like I got jumped. They got, a Louisville Slugger is a wooden bat, right? They have the little Louis, which are miniature replicas of that same bat. I don't know why, Brian J. Olds, but to me, it felt like I got jumped by about 6 or 7 people that was holding them little bats and just was tightening me up all over. Shoulders, back, chest, elbow, arm. I felt my body hurt every single week. And I didn't have anything in me to complete 10 miles. But I had a little bit, tiny bit, to put my other foot in front of the other. And then my other foot. and then my other foot. And if I just looked at the journey like that, because sometimes I would get simple and lose my senses and look at the whole lake, look at the whole track, look at my watch, and realize that I've been running for 48 minutes of a 2-hour run. You can't complete that. Not when you're tired and hurt and dehydrated, but just put in one step, right? Taking one step. All of that experience led me to something that is now known as the Prestigious Pinnacle Award. And if you look at it, there's an honoree on there. Her name is Jada Pinkett Smith. Jada Pinkett Smith is also from Baltimore, Maryland. If you look above, you'll see a picture of my company's emblem, which is a mountaintop representing the peak, the pinnacle, ascent top. And above that is my little old self, right? Rodney C. Burris. And so Rodney C. Burris presents the Prestigious Pinnacle Award. And this one to Jada Pinkett Smith. The funny backstory about that is that Brian J. O's encouraged me to have this award. Now, he did this in a way that I didn't see as an opportunity at first. I said, hey, Brian, let's present an award together. He was like, Rodney, BSN has a lot of properties, a lot of priorities. At the time, we can't do an award right now. And I felt defeated because I told you guys, sometimes I get these notions, these feelings to do, to jump, to go, to take a step. It felt right. Not being able to go through a particular doorway doesn't mean no. Sometimes it means no, but sometimes it means be creative, think about it, be patient, be steadfast, be determined, be focused, be coachable, listen, calm down, wait. It could mean all of those things, right? And so this wasn't even a part of my slide. I'm going to give you something that I've currently been living in, right? I think everybody has a still small voice, intuition, gut instinct. Something told me to do it. Man, I knew. Whatever the phraseology, subconscious, inner conscious, inner mind, higher self, whatever it is, whether you use more spiritual terms, more church-related terms, more psychological related terms, more motivational, whatever it is, we all have access to a very positive, very subtle nudging notion of things. Listening to that, I think, is the difference in the higher levels of leadership. I've been in some high levels of leadership around some high level leaders. And it seems as though their ability to tap into that inner guidance is kind of the difference maker. Everybody at a certain level can do the job. Everybody at a certain level is skilled. Everybody in the NBA can play better than 98% of the population on the planet. Everybody's not an all-star. Everybody's not an MVP. And so what is an MVP? A person that can shoot really well? All of them can shoot really well. They're in the NBA. A person that can dunk, or a person that not only is brave enough to take the shot, but kind of knows, let me go now. Let me move. That's that intuition. So how do we, as developing leaders, trying to tap into this momentum, get better at listening to that inner note? The Rodney C. Burris approach, I only can give what I have. If this is good for you, take the portions that's valuable, I'll share it. So because it's so subtle, I started training myself to listen to it in a space of gratitude when it was really quiet and calm. For me, that turned out to be like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning. And so sometimes I would wake up. I wasn't setting an alarm. Sometimes I would wake up and I would be like, this will be a good time, but my bed feels good, but it's warm, but it's cold, but it's hot, but I'm thirsty, but this could be a good time. And I would go sit somewhere calm, and I would just be thankful about things, about life, about connections, about relationships, about opportunities. And in the space, I would calm and just be open and listen and feel. And sometimes ideas would come to me. Do this, set your alarm, make it such and such, take one step this way, take one step that way, do the thing. And as we get better and better, it's kind of like training a radio to hit a certain dial, a certain frequency. At a certain point, you get so good at it, you could spin right to it. Boom. It don't matter what part of the dial is on. It don't matter what's going on in the world, the cacophony, the noise, the distortion, you can hit it. You can tune right in. And so I was teaching myself to tune right in, right? So I decided to go ahead and do the achievement award that I was asking Brian that we should do together, that he so nicely encouraged me, hey man, maybe think about another way. Well, that way was to do it myself. This is me presenting that award to Jada Pinkett Smith during her book tour just a few years ago. Anybody know Lisa Nichols? The indomitable, incomparable Lisa Nichols, the author, Oprah's bestie, Lisa Nichols. She did a one night, one woman Broadway show. This Is Us on the red carpet. Not only celebrating her experience there, I didn't give her this. She didn't receive a prestigious Pinnacle Award because she did a Broadway show or because she wrote some books. She received a Pinnacle Award. So let me tell you guys the honest truth. One of her team members reached out to me. It's like, Rodney, can she receive it? Now, sidebar, how cool is that? The award is at a place where people are reaching out to get the award. Okay, back to the regularly scheduled programming. Her team reached out and I said, well, think about it. Let's look into it. Because it's not a famous award. You can't purchase it. The award is for unlocking human potential and inspiring greatness. That's what the award is for. So has Miss Lisa Nichols unlocked human potential and inspired greatness? Well, as we started looking into her, there were letters that had been publicly printed about teenagers, more than one, saying, I did not decide to discontinue life because of my interaction with you, Miss Lisa. There were two. It doesn't get much better than unlocking human potential and inspiring greatness than saving a life. And that was the conversation we had right before she saw the award, right before she got it. This is me on TV in Kenya. Okay, so how in the world do you get on TV in Kenya? Get on TV in Kenya by a buddy of yours saying, hey man, I have this engagement in Kenya and I'm kind of nervous, but it's going to change my life. And I said, hey man, being in Kenya for a month is going to be a crazy experience. But you know what? I got some time. I'm going to go and support you. Me with my prestigious Pinnacle Award and my White House and my all that kind of stuff, I went to Kenya to carry bags for my friend. To carry bags. And in the middle of all of that, he ended up being invited to a television station there. And they was like, can he come too? Talking about me. And now international television appearances broadcast across the country of Kenya. English-speaking country, by the way. Nairobi looks like any nighttime living lights it looks like this. You see this? You see this? Nairobi at night is lit up. I didn't know that growing up in America, that Nairobi could look anything like this. Nairobi is lit up, right? Anyway, this is a newspaper, a magazine in Barbados. Because I agreed to help facilitate and MC a show, one of their national publications did a story about it. And look at the bottom, Rodney C. Burris, unlocking potential and inspiring. What do you think that next word is? That greatness. But that's the theme, right? That's the theme. Now, mind you, this is all carried momentum from running a Tough Mudder. Do you understand what I'm saying? I need you to see, because sometimes it's like, how do I do that? How do I do that? You don't just go from here to there. That's not realistic, right? We don't got the Star Trek teleportation. We ain't got that part yet. What we do have, just take one step. Take one step. Position yourself. This is me in South Africa. I just engaged this crowd. They gave me an award. If you could hear that room, they're doing this. I can't even do it, but it's this high pitched kind of like, and it's very cultural, right? It's very African. I got an award for being a speaker of the year. I didn't know that was going to happen by writing that book. I would say this. There's a very famous poet laureate. How do you say that, Brian? Laureate.
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 Yeah, no Nobel laureate.
Yeah. His name is Drake. And Drake says, Drake is like, I'm just teasing, but Drake says,
Drizzy.
Drizzy said, I never threw away my Grammy speech because I haven't reached the pinnacles I plan to reach. I still believe in taking another step. Jay-Z says the sky's the limit, but I ain't done running. I'm not done running yet. I don't know where everything is going. I got plans. We have companies. We have stuff that's working for us. We got struggles. We got money that's not rolling how it's supposed to be. Everything ain't peachy keen, right? Even getting to this place. This is South America. This is Machu Picchu, in Peru. Um, Getting to that point in real life was not easy, but the view at the top is reserved for those willing to make the climb. If you don't get anything else from our engagement today, I just encourage you, take one step, fill out the application, write the email, make a phone call, not blindly, just any old body, be targeted, right? There's effort there's some value in scattershot, just go, do 10,000 calls and maybe something. There's some merit there. The Rodney C. Burris approach, go get still, go get quiet, listen, dial your frequency, tune in. And that way it's effective movement as opposed to scatter plot, right? CO Weekly is the people that gave that title. They heard about the White House and the Federal Reserve Board, the Office of Naval Intelligence, and all of the emotional intelligence training for the leaders. And when they did the publication, they said Rodney C. Burris, America's voice for emotional intelligence. I showed that to my mama. I showed that. That's why it's all that. That's my screenshot that I took once I was notified that the thing got printed, and I sent that to my mama. I appreciate you guys allowing me to spend time with you. Thank you. That is my approach and my understanding of what it means to take advantage of the momentum by just taking that one step and then another. Thank you, Brian.
I was taking a screenshot while you were like talking about that, man. Listen, bro, you know, having known you and thank you for kind of going through a little bit of our background. And I claim you back, man. You know, friend. I think the personal professional relationship has been amazing, and I've seen you conquer. It's given me a window and seeing you conquer a lot of these milestones, right? And I remember the creation of the Pinnacle Award, and that's just one of many incredible people that you delivered it to, in addition to the Willie Jollies of the world, you know. And so I remember that, man. And it's as I reflect on some of the things that you mentioned, I what was the phrase you used? You said like that internal, like that intuition, but what did you call it?
That still small voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has a still. We all have it, and we all refer to it, and we all are really good at ignoring it because our language is replete with phrases like, "Man, something I knew it." We know those phrases only exist because each of us know what it's like to feel and don't pay no mind.
I got a testimony for you
Yeah.
because of you.
Mm.
So if I was responsible for the Pinnacle Award, like you're partially responsible for possibly me like even looking the way I do now, because you remember throwing a challenge to me to do 100 push-ups in the winter of 2024, I believe.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I was like, nobody does 100 push-ups. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not what happens. And you're like, well, ask me this. Answer me this.
Mhm.
Do you think you can do 10 push-ups? I'm like, and at the time, the answer was still probably like it wasn't like a solid, like, yeah, I knock out 10 push-ups for breakfast. What are you talking about? It
Right.
was potentially like I
Right.
could see it. He's
Yeah.
like, well, do you think you do 5 push-ups? I'm like, easily. Okay, well, you can do 5 and then take a little break and do 5 again.
Yeah.
Like, probably. It's like, okay, well, can you do that, a couple times a day? You have 100. Like if you do
Yeah.
10 sets of 10. And so
Yeah.
I took them up on a challenge. I did 100 push-ups in December of, I think this was 2024, if I'm not mistaken. And then I I really I thought that fitness was just kind of for people who just had extra time on their hands. Like I really wasn't sold on the benefits of fitness, but as an entrepreneur, as we talk about momentum and listen to you recount this journey that I seen you take, like I seen you walk into the Office of Naval Intelligence, I seen you, walk into the White House as a correspondent, I seen you stand in front of the what is it called, Marine One, as it
Yeah,
lands in the
yeah,
front,
yeah, the helicopter.
yeah, just crazy stuff, and it's like momentum, man. And you also have a incredible fitness routine. And what I'm learning is that the practice of like fitness is that practice of taking that first step over and over, even if you don't feel like it, and breaking it down into digestible chunks that if your brain can't believe that
Yeah.
you can do 100 push-ups, break it down to something you can believe in the smallest unit until it's executed. And that has fundamentally shifted so many things for me.
That's such a huge compliment. I remember that conversation about the push-ups, and I didn't think you were going to do it, you know. And
It
then
was
you
like,
took it,
I didn't think I was going to do it.
and then you did it. And when I say you did it, you were hitting me up like, "Hey, bro, I just did it again. I just did another 100. I'm 3 days in. I'm 13 days in. I'm 24 days in." That's impressive, man. That's impressive. You took the step. I don't know where it landed you doing it. Can I give one more analogy
Yeah.
about this?
Yeah.
So for me, it also reminds me of going up. I spent a lot of time in hotels, man. A lot of times in rental cars and airports and all sorts of stuff, man. And so, all hotels have those back staircases. You got the elevator, but you got the back staircase. And if some of them have big promenade, staircases where it's just open and opulent. But in either way, with staircases, typically there's a small flight, there's a landing, right? And at that landing, you got some options. You can either go back up, go down, go back up, turn. You might just could sit there, or it may not be nowhere to really stop, and you got to keep it moving one way or the other, right? But you got some options to take a breather. You don't have those options in the middle of the steps or on the first floor. And so you come up, you hit that landing, get yourself together, just like doing sets of 10, wait 10 minutes, wait 20 minutes, do another set of 10 within 10 minutes, wait another. And then before you know it, 2 hours ain't gone by. We've done 100 push-ups a day, which sounds crazy in mass, but chunked up like that, one step, building on the momentum, all of a sudden I've accrued 70, 80, 90 push-ups already, right? It's not even 10 a.m. And so that's the same thing with going up these flights. And if somebody had to say, jump from the first floor, the first step to the 10th step, you can't do that physically, humanly. But if I take that one step, all of a sudden I got options in this hotel. There's an ice machine over there. There's a snack machine. There's a vending machine. I was a little thirsty. Oh, my friend is actually on this floor. I meant to go see them, such and such. Is that where the arcade game room, laundry room is? And I've been looking for it this whole time. Oh, they smoke too much on this floor. I'm gonna keep it moving. Just there's a whole plethora of experiences that come that I don't get to see on the first floor. That just 5, 7 stairs up, I'm starting to have a new purview. Chunking it up, 10 push-ups at a time, taking one step. To me, it is the same embodiment of success. It is what momentum is.
I love it, man. Yeah, I didn't realize the spillover benefits that challenge was going to have. And when you talk about just taking one step, first of all, incredible presentation, great job. I can't wait to read the comments and people watching this, because one of the things that I think is that's where we get stuck. It's not strategy. It's not trying to figure out how to daisy chain 12 AI systems together. It's not, the latest and greatest. It's like everybody here watching. I know we got Coach G here live with us. We've got everybody that is under the sound of my voice has something in their head right now that they know they need to be doing.
Yeah.
The difference is if you get progress done on it before your head hits the pillow tonight, the difference is going to be, I believe, your ability to practically insert a component of whatever that thing is into your life in a way that makes sense. And I love what you said about getting quiet, because that's another thing that I think our entire society is almost wired to prevent us from doing that. Like notifications constantly going off on our phone. Like, the world isn't really meant for us to take a step back and get quiet. So it is something very intentional that you have to do. Do you have any advice on that, just in terms of, because I know you're a city boy like me. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I just like got back from the park and I took like 20. It don't start getting peaceful until like about 15 minutes into the drive, when you're like in Cockeysville. You know
Yeah,
how we
yeah,
hit up the
yeah.
NCR trail and all that. Like, it takes effort to get to a quiet place. So like, how do you carve out that time?
So for me, like I was saying, this the middle of the night for me. And not every night. I'm not telling y'all that I'm up at 3 a.m. every single day. It literally is when I wake up, and I sometimes I have like a very comfortable, like my mind is alert at that time. And sometimes I'm groggy, but I feel a nudge like, hey, and sometimes I'm groggy and I go back to sleep. I want to level set this. I believe in super heroic efforts, sure. I also believe in timing. I believe in momentum, because the concept of momentum for me, and the fact that you asked me to talk about this, of all people, you asked my crazy self to talk about momentum. The boost that you can get back in the day, Christmas, race car tracks, right? And you would piece together all of these tracks. And if you had a good set, I ain't always have good sets, but if you had a good set, periodically on the track would be these little boosters that would kind of push the car some more. And so if you set up the track just right, it would create this endless loop of speed, and the car would go faster and faster and faster, and then catch and then catch and catch. But if you didn't set your track up right, or if you didn't start in the right place, or whatever it is, you would miss the benefit of the boost of momentum, right? And so, do I believe in um, uh, 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 heroic efforts and superhuman and 80, 90 hour weeks? No, no, I don't. I don't believe in 70, 80 hour weeks. I don't. I don't. Because let me tell you my truth. So, being at the Federal Reserve Board happened because I gave Jada Pinkett an award. How did that happen? This is how it happened. Jada Pinkett was in the middle of a whirlwind media frenzy some years ago, right? She releases this book to kind of tell her story, but she was already working on it. Jada's a Baltimore girl, and I have had a lightweight crush on Jada since I was whatever, however, right? Back when she was Different World, little Jada, Low Down Dirty Shame, Jada movie. And so when we had the idea to give her an award, I wanted to work with her on a project for the city that we're still in the process of. I'm not going to go into details about it now. It's like, how do I get her attention? Well, we have a crystal key to the city. It's called the Prestigious Pinnacle Award. And so we coordinated to get in front of her and get her that award. It happened. You saw the photo. Somebody in the audience said, excuse me, we was all sitting down, we was at the private reception.
I love this story.
She said, excuse me, what'd you just give my bestie? And I said, huh? She said, well, and I said, it's the Prestigious Pinnacle Award. Da, da, da. And she's like, how'd you get? Yeah, it's my company, blah, 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 blah. What'd your company do? Well, we do training, leadership development around emotional intelligence award. Da, da. Oh, you do training, development, leadership. Oh, okay. Well, well, maybe you could do it for my company. Ma'am, what is your company? Well, I bring people in. I'm the HR chief. I'm the chief HR officer for my organization. What's your organization, Miss Black Woman named Tamika Pope? My organization is the Federal Reserve Board. I'm on websites and plastered everywhere, but I don't have a public facing role. But it's not private that I am DCH. What is it? Chico. The acronym is Chico, Chief Human Capitalist Officer, something like that.
Sounds correct.
Because we decided to be brave enough to give a person in the middle of a media frenzy an award. As a matter of fact, there was people saying, Rodney, your star is going up. Don't hit yourself to that. That's going to be bad for you. But I felt it. I don't know how else to tell you guys this.
That's the notion. The note
That's
that
it.
in yeah.
That's it.
People
It's
telling you go one way, but internally your barometer is true north.
we got to give her this award. She was so excited to see that thing, man. Jada, it made my day because she done seen fancy stuff. She done seen millions and millions. She know nice pearls and the nice lights in restaurants. She lit up when she saw the award.
And
Go ahead.
can I just say, like, it if you're Procter and Gamble, Apple, if you're sitting on, I'm thinking of companies that I assume are sitting on piles of cash. But like Apple, if you're Netflix or whatever, you can afford to like do stuff when everybody else is doing it. Like you can run Super Bowl ads at the highest level. You can spend $1 million a minute on Facebook ads or whatever.
Right.
But like us as for the vast majority of people watching this, if you're entrepreneur, solopreneur, dualpreneur, got a full-time consulting, you're a creator, a founder, like you are probably a little resource constrained in the beginning as you're getting that stuff off the ground. And so I love the fact that because I think it's two ways to get momentum. You can like if you're on a railroad track, like get some cars to push you, but there's only one car that's powered.
Yeah.
Or you could be the one that's the engine that's powering and pushing a whole bunch of other cars.
Yeah.
But one, you have a control over, you have agency, you have control over, like if you would sit around and wait for me to activate the Pinnacle Award, you might still be waiting. In fact, you would
Because you
be.
got priorities and properties. You told me. You
Yeah.
told me.
But it's that internal sensing. And so I love the fact that you kind of understood that and you're like, you know what, I'm going to pull the trigger myself. And in addition to that, the big companies of the world, they can afford to do stuff when everybody else is doing it because you decided to be counterculture, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
That opens up a window of opportunity because when somebody wins like Michael B. Jordan, you saw the fallout of people
Yeah.
trying to give him like fake love around that
Yeah.
or try to put his name in conversation. And it's like, yo, everybody want to pile on when somebody wins an Oscar.
Right.
Go like now is a time where who gets an award where you probably still need it. That lifetime of achievement, that doesn't take away from a body of work that
Right.
informs what you do. So I thought it was brilliant, bro. But sometimes I think it's good to be counterculture. And I think there's two things as we wrap up that I admire. And if there's any way that you can maybe contextualize this or give us a tip of how to embody this ourselves, that'd be great. But two things. One, we already talked about, which is, well, maybe three, because you have awareness of this inner voice, but you also listen to it. I'm sure you have to balance that with other inputs, other information, which people telling us what to do in our space is an input.
Yeah.
People seeing what other people are doing competitively, that's an input. Seeing how people are responding right now, we're in a very fear-driven space in the world, that's an input. And so staying true to that internal voice is a strength that I've seen you repeat over and over and over again. I love to know how you do that. And then the other thing is just like not being afraid, I guess, to go against the grain a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it, but yeah, if you have any insight around that,
I'm gonna say it real simply. Listen to what feels good. And this is what I mean by that. This is what that means for me. Um, with our bodies, if we ate some cashews or walnuts, pecans, whatever it is, throat swell up, eye swell up, rashes break out, we know not to touch that no more, right? Some of us have been taught, indoctrinated, beat into that if it feels good to you, you like it. That's not, don't put too much attention on that. If it's bad, if the stove is hot, if it's fire, we teach don't touch the stove if it's hot. We don't teach lean into that if it's also good. It's almost as if it's only bad as the focus. That's not reality. That's not the creation, right? And
Like you
so
can't good only by avoiding bad.
that's right. You can't build wealth by not spending. You have to increase your positive inputs. You got to lean into what feels, tastes, smells good. If it wasn't meant to be good to us, food could be bland. The grill don't have to smell like that, Brian. Sunsets could be great every day. It exists, so we lean into it and giving ourselves permission. Now, some of us that might be crazy. Woo, no, it's not too much for some of us. But giving ourselves a little bit of permission that this relationship, this person, this opportunity feels a little good. This food, me like this feels good. In balance. I'm not saying throw caution to the wind and throw everything away. In balance. That's a part of taking that one step. For
Love it. I love that, man. Yo, you gonna crush it tomorrow. I know you got to get up early, be down.
yeah.
What time you gotta be in DC?
Well, I need to go get on the radio. I'm actually inside of a studio right now, and I'm about to hang up with us and go around the corner and pick up a live mic. So I appreciate you guys so
Do your
much.
thing, brother.
Family.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right, folks.
Take care. Y'all keep speaking up because your audience awaits.